If you've ever been invited to a Minecraft party, you'll know that it's impossible to tell what to expect. Whether you know anyone there or if everything has been scheduled, things never go to plan. This even includes entry into the building, as I needed to be teleported. Once inside, I was interviewed by security to see if I was worthy of entering. The requirements for this party were that you were dressed nicely, did not have any weapons or armor on you, and were not part of a particular group of people that destroyed a heap of the owner's land. After meeting the criteria, I was allowed entry into the party, except since I was the first one there, I purposely went to the wrong floor. The reason for this is so that I could jump down to support beam to spy on the other people that were invited. Whilst watching the interviews, I didn't learn anything about these guests, as I completely forgot everything they said. This was also due to the fact that my current position didn't have a very clear view. But in order to get a better position, I jumped back down to the entry floor and snuck past security so that I could watch the guests from the stairway. But after a few more people had arrived, I still knew nothing about them, so I went up to the actual party where I knew absolutely no one there. But in order to get to know these people better, I intruded on some random people's conversations where they were discussing politics. But in the midst of this conversation, I learned that one of them had broken the party rules and had brought fully enchanted netherite armor and weapons. However, I realized that it would be a lot safer if I kept quiet about it. After leaving the discussion, everyone just started spinning in the middle of the room, so of course, I had to join in too. Everyone then collectively sat on the floor in a large circle for no reason whatsoever. The party host then entered and was not happy to see everyone sitting on the floor.
Bro, why y'all sitting on the dance floor instead of on the tables, bro?
This meant that we were ordered to sit on the actual tables and chairs, as there were thousands of them prepared, but instead, I decided to sit in the middle of the room, where I was ignored. The host then left to greet more guests, but that's when I learned I had a smiley face on the top of my head. However, it didn't serve any functional purpose. After a while of sitting, someone came over to me and supplied me with an illegal substance, which I drank because of peer pressure, no other reason. As the event continued, a person was teleported inside who was very confused, as they weren't even aware of the fact the event was occurring. They were also informed that they were breaking the party rules, causing them to panic.
Uh-oh. I didn't mean to teleport here.
But with no way out of the building, they were forced to calm down and pretend to be one of the guests. During this catastrophe, I decided to walk back down the stairs to see if the host was discussing any plans for security, except during my eavesdropping, I accidentally fell and it was quite awkward. But to not embarrass myself further, I made my way back up to the party location. But upon arrival, another scandal took place, as there was an invisible person who forgot they were wearing full netherite armor. So everyone chased them down in the hopes of discovering this person's identity, but unfortunately, they got away. After a few minutes, the party was now officially starting with an event taking place. The aim of this event was a water bucket clutch, where the winner would be given 10 diamonds. However, the event location was on the roof, which could only be accessed through griefing. But whilst walking there, I was pushed off the side of the building and fell to my death. After being teleported back, I was able to watch the other people's jumps, where some of them were doing it successfully while others were failing. But eventually, it was my turn. I was given a water bucket and jumped down with confidence, because I mean, who couldn't do a simple water bucket clutch? Well, it turns out that person is me. Even after my own failure, I went back up to watch the other participants. The people who were successful in the first round had to jump again until there was only one person left. But unluckily for them, every single one of those who made it in the first round ended up dying. This meant that no one won the diamonds. Everyone was ordered to return back inside, where we all witnessed drama between the host and a person called Lime.
Oh,
No, you can
snap.
stay.
Basically, what happened? On the first day Lime was on the server, they went and stole a heap of stuff from the host, and now the host wants to kick them out of the party. But the rest of the guests are fighting the host because they all believe Lime is innocent and should stay.
Whatever dislikes you guys have towards each other, maybe you could just put that aside.
I'm gonna kill one.
We can hear you.
But after a long discussion, the final verdict was that Lime could stay due to popular demand. After some time, people were trying to find others from their own country, and that's when I realised I was standing in a circle of British. I then made it my mission to find some fellow Australians. In order to locate them, I walked around asking people if they lived in Australia, but after no success, I was about to give up. However, that's when I found this table where two people were sitting. I asked them if they were Australian, where they both agreed. Unfortunately, I was not convinced as they both seemed quite British.
Yeah, we're
Australian.
But to dictate whether I was being deceived or not, I put them to a small test where I said a sentence, and if they responded with something suspicious or unusual, I would continue to believe that they are indeed British. I watched
Except
something
for
only
some
some
people my dad
Aussies would
said,
know,
but-
eh?
Yeah, the Aussies.
Still not convinced that they were telling the truth, I interviewed them in a hypothetical scenario where I asked them to get me a bag of avos from the servo. Now for those of you who don't know, an avo is an avocado and a servo is a service station. Now here in Australia, you don't typically buy bags of avocados and you especially do not buy them from service stations.
Yeah, I can get you a bag of avos. Don't worry, darling.
Honestly, nothing.
Bag of avos, are
I
you
don't,
sure?
I don't understand.
Yeah,
I
you
mean, I
want
get
to?
why you have.
Unfortunately for them, they asked me how many bags I wanted, meaning a failed test. However, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just some miscommunication and asked a few more questions, but in the end, they finally admitted that they are in fact British.
Went
But
and
you
he
seem
wanted
so
20
British.
fucking grand, dude.
I'm just...
20k.
Because I am.
After this debacle, I noticed everyone was standing in the center of the room, and me being the curious person I am went to take a look. It turns out an ender chest was placed, but permissions were set so that only the host could use it. This made a few people extremely upset as a lot of them wanted their belongings again. But since this predicament meant nothing to me, I continued on with my day, meaning I was back on the hunt to find some Australians. Since I still hadn't come across any Australians, I realised that my best option was to ask around until after a few minutes, I was redirected to a table where the original claimed Australians were sitting. Yet to my extreme shock, I learned that they were actually from Australia and were purposely trying to fool me. Too impressed by their prank, I went to rejoin the party. However, after some time had passed, I became slightly bored, so as a solution, I pulled out my violin to see if I could annoy anyone. But in the midst of playing, a murder took place right in front of me, and as if a plague had emerged, everyone started to mysteriously die. However, I turned around to ignore it, because if I couldn't see it, it actually wasn't happening. Except I walked into another really weird conversation where someone admitted to having a bomb in their inventory.
I have a bomb.
But as I continued to listen, I learned that it was just a threat against another player, and it was nothing that I should even worry about. A few minutes had passed when a boat full of strangers drove by with everyone stacked on top of each other. So obviously, I had to join in. But sadly, someone broke and stole the boat, which caused us to all fall on the floor. But it's okay, because someone else happened to have a boat and generously donated it to us. The host then re-entered the party, causing the boat scene to be over. This is when everyone decided to jump off the edge of the building for no reason at all, except I was AFK and did not witness a thing. So when I returned, I found myself standing all alone, which was quite embarrassing. But instead of jumping off the edge, I walked inside to a small group of people who told me that the party was now over. But if there's one thing you should learn from this, don't attend parties with a heap of strangers unless you've prepared yourself for the unexpected. But if you did enjoy, subscribing would really help me out a lot.